Hello, this is Lisa, no longer the CEO of Sight for White and White Sense. All that remains is for me to say a heartfelt thank you and goodbye. This is my last day in the office today. Next week I will be tidying up a few things from home. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody and stay safe, enjoy your lives. Lisa.
Here is this week's charity news on the 22nd of August 2025. There is only one more week before we commence activities and groups, all commencing from the 1st of September.
Dates for the diary. Our new creative writing group will start on Tuesday the 2nd of September at Millbrook House at 11 a.m. This group will focus on imaginative writing for fun in a relaxed and welcome setting. The group is run by Kay. Please call the office if you would like to come along or have any questions.
Friday, September the 5th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Here at Millbrook House, we will be holding our Living Well with Sight Loss course. This is an informative session run by Karen and Ruth, and everyone who has attended in the past have all really enjoyed it and taken lots of information away. Please call the office if you would like to attend.
Also, on the 5th of September, our new Younger Active group is meeting at the Bargemans, Newport, at 4:30 p.m. for a social meal and catch up to plan future activities, so please feel free to come along with new ideas and how you would like to see the group evolve. We will also be deciding on the new name for the group, so any ideas for that will be very welcome.
The next Hearing Cafe is on Monday the 8th of September at Churchill's Isle of Wight Military Museum, Northwood. This will also be the quarterly feedback and chat session. The time is 10:30 to 12 p.m. Karen and Emma will be attending. Please call the office and let Karen know if you are intending to come along.
September the 10th is our next Eye on Social, when we will be visiting Core Abbey for a tour and to enjoy the gardens and cafe. We will be meeting at the Abbey at 1:30 p.m. ready for our tour.
We have decided to run our sponsored cycle Ride and ID the White for the whole of September, giving everyone a chance at having a go, either on our tandems, static bikes, floor pedal bikes or their own bikes, to clock up as many miles as possible while raising funds for the charity. Also, if family members would like to take part, perhaps cycle instead of driving to work one day and ask colleagues to sponsor them. Please let Susan know in the office. There are sponsor forms ready at Millbrook House. If you are unable to participate and would like to sponsor the members, volunteers or staff members, please call the office. Let us make it a great success and raise a lot of funds for our amazing charity.
Our bookstall at Freshwater Tesco is a permanent stand and is raising funds for the charity. And once again, we would like to thank them for hosting our bookshelf. The children's books are proving very popular, so if you have any to donate, please drop off at Millbrook or top the shelf up next time you are in Tesco, Freshwater.
Hello, this is Sue reading from the Island Echo. Shanklin and Ryde rowers finished season strong at Cole Porters. Rowers from Shanklin, Sandown and Ryde rowing clubs delivered strong performances at the Cole Porters Small Boats and Junior Regatta on Saturday the 16th of August. The event marked the final Hants and Dorset fixture of the season and was held on the River Itchen in Southampton. Shanklin Sandown secured 4 wins alongside a series of second-place finishes across junior and novice sculling categories. In the J14 single sculls, Connie Bately-Smith and Josh Batchelor both claimed victories. The club's double strength continued with wins in the J14 girls double for Martha Eggleton and Amelia Chambers, and in the J15 girls double for Layla Katariwa and Rose Collier. Runner-up positions were achieved by Esme Waters in the novice sculls, Rose Collier in the J15 1X, Alex Collier and Josh Batchelor in the J13's 2X. The J16 girls squad, a mixed J14 squad, and Annabelle Stewart, who reached the semi-finals. Tobin Green, making his competitive debut, put in a strong performance to qualify for the semi-final as the fastest loser. Amelia Chambers and Martha Eggleton, Ride Rowing Club, sponsored by Whitelink, also had a successful showing with a small squad. In the Open Novices Fours over a 1,500-metre course with a turn, Isaac Gibson won his heat for the Ride A crew, but placed second in the semi-final behind the eventual winners. Charlie Watts, rowing for the Ride B entry, won both his heat and semi-final, and went on to finish second in the final. In the boys' J16 double scull over an 800-metre course, Joe Bird and Max Locke placed third in their semi-final. Both rowers also entered the J16 single sculls, where Joe Bird won his semi-final and claimed a convincing victory in the final. Max Locke finished second in his semi-final, qualified for the final as fastest loser and placed fourth. Both clubs now turn their focus to the South Coast Rowing Championships in Plymouth on Saturday the 6th of September, where Ride will represent the Hanson Dorset Amateur Rowing Association with 2 crews, an Open Junior Senior 4 and a Women's Coastal Junior 4.
Hi, this is Steve reading a story from the Island Echo with the headline, Full Island Line Closure Set to Disrupt Travel for the Second Time This Year. Residents of the Isle of Wight should plan alternative travel as vital works will see Island Line trains suspended once again for a 3-week period later this year. Beginning on the 18th of October until the 3rd of November, the entirety of the Island Line will be closed for vital improvements just months after its last closure at the end of April. Following on from the full closure, parts of the line will remain closed from the 3rd of November to the 17th of November, with trains only running between Ryde St John's and Shanklin. The following works will be completed during the closures. Replacing the switches and crossings at Ryde Esplanade, which allows the trains to change track. Replacing rail through Ryde Tunnel between Ryde Esplanade and Ryde St John's Road. Refurbishing Ryde St John's Footbridge. Improving the fencing on Rink Road, Ryde to make the railway safer. Tamping, that's lifting the track and consolidating and aligning the ballast beneath along the whole line to ensure a smoother ride for customers. Vegetation management to reduce the risk of trees falling onto the line and of leaf fall impacting services. Detailed track inspection to check for areas that need repairs and improvement. George Murrell, the Wessex Route Renewals Director, said, "We know how important the Island Line is to the local economy, particularly during the busy summer season. We have chosen to carry out these works in the autumn to minimise their impact as much as possible. By having these closures, we can carry out these extensive improvements, allowing the Island Line to thrive for years to come. During the closures, we advise customers to check before travelling and allow extra time for their journeys, as rail replacement buses will be in operation. We are sorry for the disruption. Replacement buses will be in operation throughout this time, allowing customers to continue travel across the island."
This is Den reading an article from the Island Echo. Second Newport Heritage Day set to take place next month. A celebration of Newport's rich past will take over the town on Saturday the 6th of September as the second Newport Heritage Day takes place. Organisers say the event will once again see the whole town getting involved, with shop owners uncovering the history of their premises and creating themed window displays. Among the many highlights, 64 High Street will feature an exhibition on the history of Isle of Wight steam railways, while Independent Arts will host a classic games exhibition with an opportunity to play chess. The Museum of Island History will be open free of charge, and the Newport Quay will be packed with hundreds of classic vehicles as part of the annual Classic Motor Show. Newport Minster will welcome visitors with guided tours, family-friendly talks and activities. An exhibition on the themes of birth, marriage and death, in partnership with Brave Island, will also be on display inside the Minster. Meanwhile, Time Jump Histories will offer a step back in time to the trenches, and Quar Abbey will exhibit their bookbinding work. The Isle of Wight Council Archaeological Team will showcase significant items from Newport's past. Inside the Minster, support will also be available from Unity Hall, Newport and Carisbrooke Heritage Society and the Commonwealth War Graves Commission to help locals uncover personal historical connections. Hannah Griffiths from Newport Minster has said, after the phenomenal success of Newport Heritage Day last year, we are really looking forward to giving people another chance to find out more about their local history. Jodie Witten, Brave Island Exhibition Coordinator Placement, has said, come and learn about the history of birth, marriage and death and the role of the Minster in these important life milestones. Hear the stories of local people's experiences and see their lovely photos. The event is being organised by the Newport Cultural Consortium and is supported by Newport Minster, Newport Business Association, Newport and Carisbrooke Community Council and the Shaping Port Newport Partnership.
Hello, this is an article from the Isle of Wight Radio, read by Sue. 15 island bathing spots classed good or excellent by Environmental Agency. 15 of the Isle of Wight's bathing spots have been classed good or excellent by the government's Environment Agency. The Environmental Protection and Regulators body SWIMFO data currently shows no places which it advises against bathing on the island and 11 excellent locations. Those rated excellent are Compton Bay, Totland Bay, Colwell Bay, Cowes, East Cowes, Seagrove, St Helens, Whitecliff Bay, Yaverland, Shanklin and Ventnor. Good locations include Gurnard, Ryde, Bembridge and Sandown. The Environmental Agency website says, water quality at designated bathing water sites in England is assessed by the Environment Agency. From May to September, samples are taken to measure water quality, and at a number of sites daily pollution risk forecasts are issued. Annual ratings classify each site as excellent, good, sufficient or poor based on measurements taken over of a period of up to 4 years.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from Isle of Wight Radio with the headline 9-point Belgrave Road plan set out by Ventnor Town Council. A 9-point plan has been set out by an Isle of Wight Town Council in response to County Hall's announcement of on-site works to reopen Belgrave Road. Ventnor Town Council, that's VTC, said it is encouraged by the Isle of Wight Council's commitment to progress the works this autumn, which include installing a rock netting system to stabilise the cliff face. Belgrave Road has been closed since March, when it was hit by tons of debris in a rockfall, damaging both the road surface and parapets and retaining walls below. A statement issued this month said VTC remains available to support coordination efforts and ensure local voices are heard throughout the process. Ventnor Town Council welcomes the update from the Isle of Wight Council and Island Roads regarding the ongoing efforts to reopen Belgrave Road. We recognise the complexity and specialist nature of the work required to stabilise the rock face and ensure long-term safety for all users. Whilst the Town Council is not directly responsible for highways infrastructure, we continue to advocate strongly on behalf of our residents and businesses who are significantly impacted by the prolonged closure. Belgrave Road is a vital link within our town, and its closure has affected access, footfall and trade, particularly for businesses in the area and those relying on pedestrian connectivity. We will continue to press for transparency, urgency and community engagement as this essential work progresses. A spokesperson listed the following points. Number 1. A clear and publicly accessible timeline for the works is critical to our community's ability to plan and adapt. Number 2. The project must be given appropriate prioritisation within Islands Roads and the Isle of Wight Council's wider programme of works. Number 3. A regular timetable of updates should be established to keep residents, businesses and the Town Council informed of any progress, changes and any emerging challenges. Number 4. We would welcome community engagement sessions or briefings to ensure residents and businesses are kept informed and can raise concerns directly. Number 5. Any temporary pedestrian access routes must be designed with accessibility in mind, ensuring safe passage for all, including those with limited mobility, pushchairs and mobility aids. Number 6. This situation highlights the need for long-term investment in the use of Ventnor's infrastructure, given the town's unique topography and vulnerability to ground movement. Number 7. The closure has already impacted key town activities and events, and with further seasonal and community events fast approaching, timely progress and communication are more important than ever. Number 8. It is understood that Island Roads have installed signage around the town, including maps to indicate diversion routes. However, it has been reported that some signs are not robust and have fallen or failed shortly after installation. Island Roads must ensure that diversion signage is sufficiently visible, appropriately placed in multiple key locations across town, and maintained with an agreed frequency to ensure it remains in place and effective throughout the duration of the closure. On Wednesday, Michelle Love, Isle of Wight Council Service Director for Highways and Community Protection, said, "We know the Ventnor community wants to see Belgrave Road open as soon as possible. We do too, and we can assure local residents and businesses that we are doing what we can as quickly as we can to get the job done." The same day, Joanne Saunders, Island Road Structures Manager, said, "This is specialist work which must be done diligently and in accordance with professional advice. What may seem like a simple clearance is in fact a complex operation requiring specialist contractors, detailed sequencing, designed temporary and permanent works, and robust risk management."
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Island residents warned over latest scam attempts. Islanders are being urged to stay alert following a series of new scams reported to the Isle of Wight Council's Trading Standards Team, IWASP. Recent cases include EE phone call scam. Residents have reported receiving unsolicited calls claiming to be from EE, attempting to obtain account details. Trading Standards warn these are likely to be scams. If in doubt, hang up and call your provider directly on their official number to verify. DWP Winter Heating Allowance text. Islanders have received texts pressuring them to make a claim for winter heating allowance by clicking on a link. This is a scam. Payments are automatic and you should never click on links within suspicious texts or emails. DVLA tax email scam. Fraudsters are sending emails claiming a vehicle is untaxed and demanding payment via a link. These messages do not come from the DVLA. Residents are advised to check the sender's email address. If it is not a valid gov.uk address, it is fraudulent. Cryptocurrency ransom threats. Some victims have received alarming messages claiming their devices have been hacked using spyware such as Pegasus. The messengers demand cryptocurrency payments and threaten to share compromising content. These are fraudulent attempts to extort money and should be ignored. Do not engage with the sender and never send money. Such emails should be forwarded to report@phishing.gov.uk. That's phishing spelt phishing.gov.uk. Trading standards are reminding residents to remain cautious, never share personal or financial details with unexpected callers. Avoid clicking on suspicious links and always verify official communications directly with the organisation involved.
Free bus service for cancer patients saved short term. A free Lifeline bus service for island cancer patients facing the axe will continue running for now. Campaigners have saved the service short term and have vowed to ensure it keeps running long into the future. The Daisy bus in Southampton was expected to be withdrawn from Wednesday. A significant portion of the funding came from the Jersey government, which also used the bus to transfer patients from the airport. Operationally and largely financially, the Daisy bus was maintained by University Southampton Hospital in partnership with Wessex Cancer Support, which leased the bus. Due to the lack of available funding, the decision was made to withdraw it from service, prompting island businesswoman Michelle Lee Queasney Newton to launch a campaign to save it. Following a meeting last week, a steering group was established and a fundraiser launched. More than £8,500 has been raised. £8,500 has been raised, which will help front the cost of the service for the next 6 weeks. It will be a different bus. Eastleigh-based company Excel Group is providing a driver and a 16-seater vehicle to take patients from Red Funnel Southampton Terminal to the hospital. The service will run to the same timetable, starting yesterday, Thursday. Patients flying over from Jersey will also use the service, Michelle confirmed. Going forward, campaigners hope to establish a community interest company to run the service. Wessex Cancer Support has told the CP it is not part of the project, and it's understood UHS will not be either. In terms of a vehicle for the route, Michelle said, "We are exploring all avenues." She said the service will go forward. The company will be set up twice the speed of sound, but properly. We will be self-sufficient, and I think that the main thing that we never find ourselves in this situation again. Michelle said she had spoken to Deputy Tom Binet, Jersey's health minister, thanking him for their past generosity. She also expressed hope that the two islands could collaborate going forward. Deputy Binet said, "While Jersey is not in a position to fund the entire service going forward, we absolutely recognise its value. I'm keen to explore ways we can work with Michelle's team to support all cancer patients who travel to Southampton for treatment. This is a shared island challenge and one that deserves a shared solution. Donations are welcomed at justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Save the Daisy bus. To help fundraise or volunteer as a driver, email, all in lowercase, savethedaisybus@gmail.com.
Calls for regular testing over open Suir River. Dead wildlife and reports of a swimmer falling ill have led to serious concerns over the worsening quality of water in the island's biggest river. There are fears the River Medina is turning into an open sewer, prompting calls for regular testing. Southern Water, SW, and the Environment Agency, EA, told the county press they could find no sign of pollution during recent inspections, although the EA admits the Medina is not routinely monitored for bacteria. Those who live and work beside the river have described the smell as terrible and say they have seen effluent in the water on occasions. Bluey White, maintenance manager at Medina Valley Centre, said around 2 weeks ago a young man did not heed his warning and went for a swim in the river. He said he was later admitted to hospital with a serious throat infection as he couldn't breathe. He said the man is now on a course of antibiotics and painkillers. Bluey said he has also encountered at least 3 dead swans, ducks and even fish, and is worried about the health of someone in or around the river. A resident living in a house overlooking the Medina, who wished to remain anonymous, said, "It's the smell. You get some days when you don't see it, especially in the winter time. Now it's summertime, it's terrible." It's thought the 3 main causes of sewage in the Medina are SW sewer overflows, misconnections from businesses and residential, and houseboats and leisure boats. Bluey and the resident say they have flagged their concerns with the EA and SW a number of times, but nothing had been done until they contacted the county press. EA officers followed up on reports of foam and brown floating matter, but officers judged it was the breakdown of marine algae. The foam is non-toxic but can smell unpleasant and be mistaken for sewage, a spokesperson said. Bluey, a former sailor in the Merchant and Royal Navy who has been living on the water for 40 years, said he is absolutely sure it is not marine algae.
A Reform councillor resigns months after his election win. A new councillor has resigned from the Isle of Wight Council just months after winning his seat in May. Reform UK's David McLean has resigned from representing Lake North with immediate effect. His details have already been removed from the Isle of Wight Council's website. The council's returning officer is now arranging a by-election for Thursday, October the 2nd. Mr McLean's tenure has not been without controversy. Councillor McLean was not present at the May the 3rd by-election count or his initiation ceremony at County Hall the following week. After unsuccessfully trying to contact the councillor at that time, the Local Democracy Reporting Service, LDRS, was told by Reforms UK's press office his absences were due to a serious illness in the family. He never responded to a request for an interview with the reporter, Rufus Pickles, who is based at the county press. He was then absent from the first 3 sessions of the Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee. CSESC. Its Conservative Chair, Councillor Paul Brading, told members last Thursday. It led Councillor Brading to say he would write to Councillor McLean to ask him to consider his position, stating, "Going forward we have some real key decisions to make, and I'm just wary that without the knowledge we've all picked up from our first 3 meetings, it may be a problem." Councillor McLean attended only 2 out of 6 committee meetings. He has been expected to attend since being elected as Lake North's representative in May, according to the Isle of Wight Council's website. He has now stepped down. The Isle of Wight Council has one other Reform UK councillor, Caroline Gladwin. An Isle of Wight Council spokesperson said, "We can confirm notification has been received from Councillor David McLean of his resignation as a councillor with immediate effect. If we receive the requisite number of requests from electors to call an election in the Lake North Division, a by-election will take place. Assuming the number is reached, a notice of election will then be posted by the returning officer for the council."
Residents back plans for store. National supermarket Aldi has submitted a planning application for a new store to the Isle of Wight Council, after residents overwhelmingly supported the proposal. Plans for a new branch of the supermarket at Coffee Way, Ryde, have been met with support during a consultation by Aldi, with 93% of 853 participating locals backing the project. The new store is planned to be built on the land of the former Nutric building at Westridge Business Park, which has been empty for 3 years. Aldi's real estate director, Matthias Daly, said, "We are delighted that so many people recognise the major benefits that a new Aldi store would bring to Ryde. The Isle of Wight Council is now running its own consultation, and we urge people to make their support known. We are committed to continued engagement with the local community and the council and are hopeful of a decision on planning permission later this year." The submitted plans suggest the new branch would create up to 40 jobs.
A scooter event is the world's biggest rally. Thousands of scooterists will arrive on the island this August bank holiday as the world's biggest scooter rally returns. The Isle of Wight International Scooter Rally, organised by VFM and the British Scooter Rallies Association, takes place from today, Friday to Monday, August the 25th. Sandown Airport will be transformed into a hub of activity with a camping area, traders' village, and a wide choice of bars and food stalls. The event offers a packed programme, including live bands, DJs, the popular Soul Room, and the International Customs Show, where some of the most unique and stylish scooters from across the globe will be on display. While Sandown Airport hosts the official rally site, the weekend also brings with it a host of independent scooter-related events. The highlight of the weekend is the Sunday Ride Out, which draws huge crowds to watch the colourful parade of scooters. Riders set off from the former Ryde ice rink, travelling via Puckpool, Nettlestone, St Helens and Bembridge, before passing through Yaverland, Sandown and Apps Heath, looping back to the airport. The rally regularly attracts up to 10,000 scooter enthusiasts and has been described as the world's largest event of its kind. Venues across Sandown are set to host live music. Ryde will come alive with Jack's Up Ticket to Ride, a free-to-attend mini-festival. Taking place for the 11th year as part of the Scooter Rally, this weekend's Ticket to Ride will entertain with top island bands and a 60s-inspired playlist. The festival is on Saturday and Sunday, promising a weekend filled with live music, local traders, food stalls and kids' activities. The event is a community effort aimed at supporting the MS Society on the Isle of Wight. Notable acts include Scooted and Booted Sound System, Real Dead Ringer Hyade Cullen and the Island Vibe, among others. Attendees will have the chance to explore the stalls showcasing island traders' products and services. Food stalls will cater to a wide range of dietary needs with various hot food options and beverages. The festival will run from 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. on both days.
Sharpshooter on target for England. A veteran marksman is still hitting the mark and proved it at a rifle championship. Isle of Wight shooter Richard Wilson helped Team England secure victory in the home countries match at the British Small Bore Rifle Championship in Bisley, Surrey, following a week of strong performances. A member of Shanklin Rifle Club, Richard competed for 7 days in extremely hot conditions, consistently performing at the top of the field. His efforts earned him a place in the top 10 of Great Britain's best shooters in the Elite X-Class category, securing another England cap. Richard said, "I'm really happy to represent England and Hampshire at this year's championship." During the week, he also represented Hampshire in 2 other team events, earning first and second place finishes. England fielded a men's team of 6 and a mixed team of 10 for the home countries match. Both teams competed simultaneously, with England's mixed team taking the win. The championship concluded with the prestigious Roberts match. The top 20 shooters qualified for the final, which consisted of 40 shots at 50 metres and 40 shots at 100 yards. Richard finished 14th in a close contest.
Government pressed over prisons security. The Ministry of Justice has been pressed for further clarity following its announcement of new security barriers around the Isle of Wight's prison. Liberal Democrat councillor Andrew Garrett and Isle of Wight West Labour MP Richard Quigley welcomed the briefing on replacing existing concrete bollards. However, they have requested additional information regarding timing and practicalities. A prison service spokesman has previously said the bollards had been installed temporarily to maintain prison security and public safety, as nearby roadworks were completed. They added, "We understand the frustration this has caused for local people, which is why we have secured funding for new security barriers that will end road closures for local residents while maintaining a secure outer perimeter for the prison." Councillor Garrett, representative for Parkhurst and Honeyhill, said it was very welcome development. He said, "I have contacted the prison and the Ministry of Justice for more information. I've asked them to confirm if this is just for Clissold Road, connecting Camp Hill to Parkhurst Road, or includes Lonsdale Avenue and the back road through to Rook Street. We will also want to know how the Ministry of Justice prison will engage with residents about the timescale for the installation and how the system will work in practice." Mr. Quigley said, "I'm glad funding has been secured for new security barriers to replace the temporary bollards installed around HMP Isle of Wight. The proposed new barriers will still enable controlled access for local residents while improving security to the outer perimeter of the prison. It should also reduce through traffic, which I know has been a concern for the prison and residents. Councillor Garrett and I have both asked the Ministry of Justice to engage with residents on this and provide more information on the practicalities and timescales involved."
If music be the food of love. A musician has completed his world tour of all the towns and villages on the island. Steve Love celebrated the completion of his world tour of the Isle of Wight, ticking off locations with his repertoire of island-themed songs, on subjects including ferries, potholes, landslides and the floating bridge. Steve's self-set challenge was publicised by the county press, helping him to make bookings across the island's more remote locations. Steve said, "As well as all the larger towns, I was able to mop up Brystone, Newchurch, Gurnard, God's Hill, Haven Street, Arreton, Brading, Knighton, and even a little place called Wellow that I never even knew was there. If there's anywhere left that I've missed, please get in touch. My audiences are full of ideas for new songs, and I also scour the county press every week because every time I think there can be nothing else to sing about, something else crazy happens on the island and off I go again." Steve's latest song, There's a Rock on My Road, is based on the rockfall on Belgrave Road in Ventnor. However, as is the peril with writing satirical music, not all songs remain relevant. Steve penned a tribute to the Horsebridge Hill closure, named Roadworks from Hell, but the road reopened before it was able to make its debut. He said, "I was just about to perform it for the first time when the road was open again. But that's okay, I'm sure they'll dig it all up again sometime, and I'll have the song ready on day one." Following the completion of his tour, Steve has now set himself another challenge, a Christmas tour. He will take his songbook around the island once more in November and December, this time with a festive theme. Steve said, "If you are a community group, charity, village hall, or anything like that, and you would like me along in the run-up to Christmas, please do get in touch on STELOV1@yahoo.co.uk.
Secondary school suspension rate is more than 25% by Rufus Pickles. Concern over the Isle of Wight's horrendous mainstream secondary school suspension rate of more than a quarter of pupils was raised at County Hall last Thursday. The island's 26.9% rate was highlighted at yesterday's Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee, CSESC, with Green Party councillor Joe Lever asking, "What's going on there? What's not working?" CSESC's Conservatives chair, Councillor Paul Brading, said, "The figure stands out like a sore thumb." A 24 to 25 council report showed contrasting outcome for the island's mainstream primary and secondary schools. County Hall's report gave a 3.27 per 100 pupils suspension rate for primaries. It said the suspension rates are for academic year 23 to 24, with 24 to 25 figures due to be published in the summer of 26. Councillor Lever said, "Previously, I was on the scrutiny iteration of this committee. I remember a meeting. We were talking about a focus on trying to bring down suspensions because it was seen as not the ideal outcome. However, across primary, secondary and special, there's an increase in suspensions, particularly in secondary." Councillor Brading said, "When I look at this data, the thing that stood out to me was not so much the primaries, but the secondary school suspensions are horrendous. You're right, that figure stands out like a sore thumb." Kay Jones, council officer, stood in for Director of Children's Services, Ashley Whitaker, who was on annual leave. She said she would take it back as a question for a written response. Alliance Independent Councillor Paul Fuller said, "What is of concern is that schools might find it easier to suspend children rather than having to pick up the impact that allowing them to go through exams would have. I want some kind of reassurance that the suspensions are done as a very, very last resort. Sometimes when you're a governor, it's quite easy to suspend a child from school because they are disruptive and they are not achieving at the levels that they are expected to achieve. What worries me is that it can be seen as being an easy option. Miss Jones said school attendance is the priority.
Cat comes home after 3 years. A cat missing for 3 long years has been reunited with her family, who are over the moon to see her again, after she was found wandering on a farm. Owner of Whatsit, Linda Wilmot, said she is finally home where she belongs, and there have been tears of joy we didn't even know we still had. Whatsit, who became part of the Wilmot family as a kitten, went missing when she was 6 years old. Her disappearance sparked a community-wide search and a plea for help on Facebook group Isle of Wight Lost Pets. Posters went up, people kept an eye out, and Whatsit quickly became something of a local legend, Linda told the county press. For 3 long years, her family never stopped thinking about her and wondering where she was. That was until last week, when the family got the most incredible call from an amazing lady. Whatsit was found wandering around Claire Smiley's farm, White Acres in Ashy. She was so friendly, and when I picked her up I saw how skinny and wobbly she was, so decided to put her in a large dog cage and give her a little food and water, which she lapped up, Claire said. Claire then took her to be scanned, and although the numbers on the chip did not work, the address matched with Linda's. Claire, who has 13 horses, 7 dogs, and 3 cats of her own, said, Linda then called and was so emotional to think it was her cat. She came the next day, and you could see Whatsit was so happy to see her. It was so lovely to see Whatsit reunited with her owner. Linda said Whatsit was skinny and dirty, but is now safe, purring, eating loads, and finally home where she belongs. We'll never know exactly where she's been or what adventures she's had, but one thing's for sure, our family is complete again, she said. We've missed her so much.
No fudging it, train buff Portillo is an Island fan. Politician turned TV presenter Michael Portillo has been spotted filming on the Isle of Wight this week. The former Conservative cabinet member posed for a photo at the Isle of Wight Fudge Company in Yarmouth, where he stopped in between filming. The business took to a social media to share the photo. The Isle of Wight Fudge Company said, "Quick pit stop for Michael Portillo today in between filming. He's already got the right hat to work here. Come back any time." The former politician was spotted on Sunday morning filming at Shanklin railway station and then at the Castle pub in Sundown. Mr. Portillo has been on the island before, even filming an episode of BBC Two's Great Coastal Railway Journeys about the Island Line, which aired in 2023. The show saw Mr. Portillo visit the Garlic Farm and the Needles Old Battery. He has also appeared at Shanklin Theatre, telling the audience of childhood holidays to Ventnor, travelling to and from by train, of course. Mr. Portillo also opened the new bar at the theatre in February 2020.
Drug user said dog would rip throat out of shop worker. A man who threatened to set his dog on a Marks & Spencer worker and have it rip her throat out has been slammed for his heinous crime, which shocked an experienced magistrate's bench. Tyler Cairns of Pineview, Gunville, appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates on August 15th. The 29-year-old admitted using threatening, abusive, insulting words or behaviour with intent to cause fear of or provoke unlawful violence in Newport on March the 17th. Prosecutor Giles Fletcher said the charge related to an incident at Marks and Spencer of Churchletton in Newport. He said Cairns drew the attention of staff as he made his way around the store with his dog off its lead. When challenged, he threatened to punch a member of staff in the face and have his dog rip her throat out. Mr. Fletcher said his victim was frightened and fearful for her safety. In a statement, she said he was angry and agitated, drunk or high on drugs, and his behaviour caused her to go into shock and burst into tears while on the phone to police. The court heard it was the worst incident she had experienced in 10 years working in retail and caused her to avoid walking alone to her car. Oscar Vincent, defending, said Cairns didn't challenge the account put to him by police and was immediately apologetic. He said he was keen to apologise to the staff member, disgusted and dismayed by his behaviour, and had since curbed his substance misuse. The presiding magistrate told Cairns, who is unemployed and in receipt of state benefits, that it was a horrible, horrible offence. He said it was an absolutely heinous crime which he should be ashamed of, and one which shocked an experienced bench. Cairns, who has 12 previous convictions for 27 offences, was handed an 18-month community order to include rehabilitation and 100 hours of unpaid work. He was made subject of a 12-month exclusion zone, banning him from Marks and Spencer, and ordered to pay £200 compensation to his victim, costs of £85, and a £114 surcharge. Cairns was also sentenced for theft from TK Maxx in Newport on June the 9th. He stole £50 94 worth of perfume.
Island Line closes down once again. The Island Line passengers are bracing for yet more disruption as the entire route shuts down from Saturday, October the 18th to Monday, November the 3rd, followed by partial closures until Monday, November the 17th. The plans mark another long interruption in service as engineers undertake upgrades and repairs across the network. From November the 3rd, trains will only operate between Ryde, St John's Road and Shanklin, while work continues in the Ryde area. Replacement buses will run throughout the closure to maintain connectivity. The works include replacing switches and crossings at Ryde Esplanade, renewing rail through Ryde Tunnel, refurbishing the Ryde St John's footbridge, improving safety fencing on Rink Road, tamping the line for smoother rides, managing vegetation and conducting track inspections. George Murrell, Wessex Route Renewals Director at Network Rail, said, "We understand the inconvenience this causes, but these improvements are essential to ensure the Island Line thrives for years to come. The frequency and duration of repeated closures since the major upgrade in 2021 have tested the patience of regular passengers and reportedly seen usage of the service drop dramatically. The most recent closure was for 8 months and finished in May this year, with a reopening ceremony with no passengers present, as both Whitelinks Fast Cats were out of service due to mechanical issues. Despite the setback, senior rail managers stuck to pre-prepared speeches and spoke about the importance of integrated transport. passengers are once again advised to check travel updates and allow extra time for journeys during the next closure.
Dangerous driver jailed. A driver deemed a danger to the public after mounting the pavement, speeding through Shanklin and smashing into a van while attempting to evade police has been jailed. Sam Hart of Church Road, Shanklin, appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates last Friday. The 39-year-old admitted driving while disqualified, failing to stop for police, driving without due care and attention, and driving without insurance in Shanklin on May the 31st. Prosecutor Giles Fletcher said Hart was spotted by police travelling along Sandown Road at around 7:45 p.m. He said he pulled over, mounted the pavement, then accelerated away from officers, almost hitting a moped in the process. Mr. Fletcher said Hart drove at around 60 miles per hour in 30 miles per hour zones at times, jumped a red light, and eventually crashed into a white panel van. After the collision, the court heard Hart try to flee the scene. He was pursued and arrested. Police said at the time, after a short pursuit, a male was chased through a local Shanklin pub and apprehended in Shanklin Old Village. A great team effort supported by local beat bobbies PC Tricky and PC Carey. Mr. Fletcher said the offences took place shortly after Hart's last driving ban was imposed and his record didn't read well. Oscar Vincent, defending, said the offences took place around 4 weeks after Hart's community order was imposed and it was early days in his rehabilitation. He said Hart was making no excuses for his behaviour and took full responsibility. Mr. Vincent told the bench Hart's mother was seriously ill and Hart was her primary carer. The court heard he had learned his lesson, events had made him re-evaluate his life and priorities, and he would do anything it takes to comply with court orders moving forward. He wants to do right by his mother, said Mr. Vincent. The presiding magistrate told Hart he could have killed someone, and he presented a risk and danger to the public. Hart was jailed for 18 weeks and disqualified from driving for 41 months. He was ordered to pay costs of £85 and a £154 surcharge.
In days gone by, 100 years ago, in August 1925, a tragedy occurred at Douchy War Grave Cemetery in Belgium, when an island woman went to visit the graves of her two sons. Alice James of Seaview was so overcome by emotion that she collapsed and died at the First World War graves. 2 hayricks valued at £200 were destroyed after a fire broke out at Guildford Farm, Haven Street. The fire was believed to have been caused by hot embers falling from a thrashing machine.
75 years ago, in August 1950, over 600 people visited Arreton Manor and St George's Church, when an open day was held in aid of repairs to the church. Many parts of the church timber were destroyed by Death Watch beetles. A school of 8 or 9 porpoises was seen travelling up the River Medina by Mrs. Coughlin of East Medina Mill Cottage, Newport. Residents of Newport council houses were enraged that they were paying rates above the national average. For £35, islanders could pop into Young's electrical dealers of Ryde, Newport and Cowes and pick up a new Murphy 146 radio.
50 years ago, in August 1975, celebrations took place at Christchurch, Totland, to celebrate its centenary. A 4-day flower festival was held and a Thanksgiving ceremony was also held. A Sea-Link ferry which docked at Fishbourne bore a striking resemblance to Noah's Ark. Elephants from the Circus Hoffman, which was performing on the island, filed off the ferry alongside the motor vehicles. A 72-year-old island nun, Sister Stella Mary of St. Dominic's Priory, Carisbrooke, boarded a plane bound for Bucharest to take part in an international conference on cybernetics.
Victorian schools, heart of village life. The stone or brick-built Victorian village school is becoming an endangered species on the island. The days of agricultural labourers being the predominant men in the countryside has gone. Look at the census for Victorian times, and the countrymen were all ag labs. They had a house with the job and raised large numbers of children when their gardens provided abundant vegetables and medical care improved. Many of those children received schooling. In the 1840s, landowners began to realise their responsibilities, and many endowed a small school where their tenants' children could learn the 3 R's. The National School Scheme had been set up in 1811, with the aim of providing a school in every parish. In 1833, the state began to help fund national schools with annual grants, dependent on the reports of inspectors. The Elementary Education Act of 1870 started the development of board schools to increase the number of schools. Eventually, many of the national schools handed their premises to the local board when running costs increased beyond their means.
In 1944, under the Education Act, the remaining national schools became voluntary aided or controlled, funded by the state, but still able to promote the Church of England's teachings. Here on the island, our school system is a legacy of this, with the additional layer of some schools now being run by academies. This presents a complicated system as our birth rate falls and the requirement for school places diminishes. Teaching in a small rural school with mixed age classes, I always found it to be a delight. This is how things happened in Victorian times, but with modern facilities, how much easier it is today. Now many schools often prefer to have classes of mixed ages and abilities, and it has been found to have benefits to learning. It is not a reason to close a school. The children can reach school more easily and enjoy the countryside around them. In appearance, high Victorian windows have often been changed for windows that the children can see out of. Today, access suits all abilities. Facilities exist in a small primary school that are lost in a large one. The buildings add to the distinctive character of a village. New buildings have often been added to expand the old schools. In recent years, inappropriate flat-topped extensions have been removed, and newly designed additions have been added to rural schools that blend with the character of the old school. A village without a school loses some of its heart and may lose its shop and other facilities. Long may the village school live on. Right, steampunk organisers, Donna Jones and Billy Asbo the dog. Well, I never thought that 5-day coach holiday from Sheffield in 2012 would result in me moving lock, stock, barrel and 2 Yorkies to this glorious light-filled island. For 31 years I had been a teacher, youth worker and community development worker with teenagers at risk and families across many of the estates in Sheffield. I wasn't sure how a broad Barnsley accent would be received here, but I soon learnt that this island is diverse, with accents from every corner of the UK. Sheffield friends would ring me and ask if I was not bored yet living here. How could I be? I had swapped inner city living, cold winter months, and a fast-paced life for Ryde. 8 miles of sandy beaches, seeing the Solent every day, the Isle of Wight festival, carnivals galore, scooter weekends, the theatre, music, concerts, art and cafe culture with pals. I guess there must be more artists and creative people here per square metre than anywhere else in the UK. This was very different from being landlocked and only seeing the sea as a child twice a year on the working men's club trips. Blackpool, Scarborough, Cleethorpes and Bridlington were our go-to seasides. I gave up on the idea of renting deck chairs out on Scarborough Beach and trained as a teacher at Bretton Hall near Wakefield, which is now the fabulous Yorkshire Sculpture Park. Creativity and community have always worked hand in hand for me. I have loved bringing new projects to the island, especially as a writer, spoken word performer, artist, comedian and fundraising for the Isle of Wight Soup Kitchens with funky fashion shows, Japanese-inspired costumes and upcycling 100 jackets. The Isle Style 50-plus women's group is still running and was influenced by the Advanced Style Group for the Elderly in America. Our motto is fashion for everyone. Style is for the individual. We certainly love and support our charity shops here. Upcycling clothes has never been more exciting. I love what people brought to the island and their life-fascinating stories, and so began the project. I remember when. For the over 70s, I for one don't want to lose those stories. They can be self-written, recorded, transcribed, and I perform them monthly at the spoken word event at Moncton Arts. Performing comedy and storytelling with the remarkable Joan Ellis as them two has been a dream. The Isle of Wight, London, the South Coast and Middle England have witnessed our madcap shows of laughter and pathos. She is definitely the glamorous one of the two. What next? The Isle of Wight Steampunk Festival in Ryde is in its 2nd year, and we can't wait. Building on the 2,000 plus attendance last year from as far away as Dundee and Italy, this year is going to be even bigger, more diverse, and will showcase national and international bands and entertainers, street performers, steampunk themed stalls and costumes will bring colour and fun to the island. The Island Wights Hot Pipes will be headlining the festivities and bringing their signature blend of Celtic rock to the stage, not forgetting the excitement of seeing the bagpipes on fire. All the details are on our website, and if you want to don your corsets and top hats, there are plenty of ideas there. iowspunkfestival.co.uk. If you see a dog with red lipstick on his head and myself, do say hello. The Isle of Wight Steampunk Festival takes place in Ryde on September the 26th to the 28th.
And now on to public information, starting with an article headlined "Pharmacies Can Help Over Bank Holiday." Pharmacies are reminding the public they are open and ready to help with minor health concerns during the August bank holiday weekend. NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight is encouraging people to consider using the Pharmacy First scheme for minor illnesses. The scheme allows people to access treatment and advice for common conditions such as sinusitis, earache, sore throat, and uncomplicated urinary tract infections, UTIs, without needing to see a GP. Neil Hardy, Chief Pharmacist, said, Our pharmacy teams are here to help this bank holiday weekend. Community pharmacies can often be the fastest and most convenient way to get help for minor illnesses and injuries. Pharmacists can also prescribe medications where appropriate, provide health and well-being advice, and monitor blood pressure, helping you to get the care you need without having to wait for a GP appointment or attend an emergency department. On the Isle of Wight, the following pharmacies will be open on Monday, August the 25th. Boots the Chemists, High Street, Newport, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tesco Pharmacy, Brading Road, Ryde, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Jahoots Pharmacy at Sandown Medical Centre, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Yarmouth Pharmacy, Key Street, Yarmouth, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Times may be subject to change.
Dry weather has not been kind to the farmers, by Sean Grove, The Farming Life on the Isle of Wight. August has brought another dry spell, with the recent hosepipe ban highlighting just how limited our water supply has become. While the sunshine has been perfect for picnics and tans, the ongoing drought has placed real pressure on our farming communities. Sean Russell from Staples Vegetables shared how the weather has impacted their sweet corn. Irrigation has been essential from the moment the seeds went into the ground, continuing right through the growing season. With over 700 acres to cover, this extra watering has added significant cost to production. The unusual heat has also shifted the harvest forward by several weeks, with crops ready earlier than usual, late July to mid-October window. The hot, dry conditions haven't just affected arable crops. Grass and maize growth have been poor, raising concerns about winter forage stocks. Many livestock farmers have already had to dip into hay and silage supplies meant for the colder months, while hay yields themselves are down, some fields producing up to 60% less than usual. And with supply reduced, higher prices are expected as we move into autumn. Farming and the weather haven't been the best of partners this year. It's that time again to keep a watchful eye on the flock. Fly strike can sneak up quickly in warm, muggy weather, so regular checks are a must to keep sheep happy and healthy. Fly strike is a serious condition where flies lay eggs in the wool and the hatching larvae burrow into the sheep's skin. If not caught and treated quickly, fly strike can be fatal. Out on the roads you might spot a few more tractors and trailers than usual. It's a busy time for the farmers. If you find yourself behind one, take a deep breath and enjoy the slower pace for a moment. Remember, it's not a traffic jam, it's your dinner on the move, and those hard-working farmers are doing their bit to keep plates full and cupboards stocked. A little patience goes a long way in helping everyone get the job done safely. Isle of Wight Young Farmers Club are celebrating success, with member Molly Sheath being shortlisted for the Young British Farming Awards under the category Young Farmers Club Leader. Molly is only 16, but an excellent advocate for the members of the Isle of Wight YFC. She is the youngest on the committee, but that doesn't stop her from suggesting creative and fun ideas to engage members in meetings. Molly is described as someone that is admired and looked up to by younger members. Congratulations and good luck at the awards ceremony. And speaking of celebrations, the Isle of Wight YFC are rounding off summer with a big yee-haw at their barn dance on Saturday, August the 30th, 7 p.m. to midnight at the County Showground, P0305TP. Enjoy Honky Tonk Highway, a toe-tapping live band, plus tunes from DJ Jace. Try your skills on the rodeo bull and join in with line dancing from the Long Island Stompers. With a bar, burger van and plenty of country fun, it's the perfect night out. Tickets are £15, pre-booked only, and it's a cash-only event. So grab yours now and get ready for a boot-stomping good time. We hope to see you there.
And now moving on to what's on, starting with Real Ale Festivals. 2 fantastic free events, great food and live music. Taking place at Yarmouth, the Bugle at Coaching Inn, the White's Heath, the King's Head, between the 11th and 14th of September, and the Buddle Inn, Knighton, from the 19th to the 21st of September. To book your table, please visit characterinns.co.uk.
Once Upon a Time in the West End is a gala show featuring the West End's most popular music, performed by the Isle of Wight's brightest young talent and some old favourites too. The Music for Care singers and dancers bring you an evening of classic songs from West Side Story, Miss Saigon, Les Miserables, La La Land, The Greatest Showman, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and many more. All proceeds donated to the Music for Care Foundation. Sunday the 14th of September at the Medina Theatre from 7:30 p.m. Tickets are £21.50. So the Medina Theatre is at Fairley Road, Newport. And if you want to get in touch with them, it's medina.theatre@isleofwight.gov.uk. And their phone number is 01983 823 884.
Get your Isle of Wight Literary Festival tickets today. Tickets are going on sale today, Friday at 9 a.m. for this year's Isle of Wight Literary Festival, with big names such as Dame Prue Leith, Sue Barker, Helen Lederer, John Suchet, Giles Brandreth and Joanne Harris. There is something for everybody at this year's Premier Island Literary event. Joining them will be designer Kath Kidston, political heavyweight Sir Graham Brady, former Southampton FC footballer and all-round good guy Franny Benali, Alison Pearson on Jane Austen, and festival favourite Martin Sixsmith. Making the headlines at the moment is Andrew Lowney, whose controversial biography of the Duke and Duchess of York will be the subject of his talk. For those who love their royalty, there is the Dowager Lady Anne Glenconner, former Lady-in-Waiting, Julian Godolphin speaking about his first book, On His Majesty's Service, How the King Preserves the British Constitution, and ex-royal butler Grant Harold on his time in the household. From October the 9th to 12th, Northwood House in Cowes will again be the base for the 4-day festival, with other venues, including Cowes Enterprise College and St Mary's Church, also being used. As well as the headliners, there are around 40 other authors on subjects from sport to scandal, royalty to military history, as well as a liberal dollop of fiction. Other strands to the festival include the Lit Fest culinary section, Right on White, and open university events for local writers. A musical finale featuring renowned actor Rula Lenska, and the legendary Fizz Quiz at the Island Sailing Club. Festival chairperson Maggie Ankers said, We are delighted to have put together such an eclectic, top-drawer lineup for this year. The programme is full of fascinating authors talking on amazing subjects. We believe everybody will find something they like, so check out the tickets page on the website to see the schedule. Tickets are available from 9 a.m. via iw.observer/iw-lit-fest-tickets or in person from Kendall's Fine Art in Bath Road, Cowes.
And now for the letters. The first one, name and address supplied. We visited the Isle of Wight Garlic Festival on Sunday, and while it seemed quieter than in previous years, there were still thousands of people there. Why then so few toilets? Huge queues at all times and only a handful of toilets at each pit stop. Only 2 toilets by the main entrance. For a festival that's mainly about eating and drinking, they weren't very prepared for the end result of that.
Gentlemen of the Lynn Bottom Tip. Name and address supplied. 2 ladies from Ryde whose car overheated last Thursday would like to say a very big thank you to the gentlemen of the Lynn Bottom Tip for their understanding, kindness and support.
Flabbergasted by a good deed. Name and address supplied. Having delivered a letter to Cowes Medical Centre for my wife, I stopped at Aldi to get some sugar and dinner. Tapped the card. It refused. Chip and pin. Refused. Other card. Refused. Profusely apologised and walked away when I got called back to the till. A very kind older lady was insisting that she would pick up the tab as her good deed of the day. I was so flabbergasted that I accepted, saying I would put the non-perishable items into the food bank. What a reminder of the goodness of people out there, turning my embarrassment into a good thing. Whoever you might be, my heartfelt thanks for your good deed and the reminder of true charity. God bless.
Use Our Name by Marianne Rumans of Bembridge. Devolution is about giving power from the government back to communities, moving away from Westminster to local leaders, giving them the autonomy to make decisions on our behalf, hopefully to make a difference. Unfortunately, the other partner cannot remember who we are and our name. It's the Isle of Wight, not the Solent. So, what are our chances of survival?
Hurricane Joy by Ken Abernethy from Kelbourne. You frequently mention trips of the Red Arrows over the island. In Kelbourne we never see them. We must be off their flight line. But to my delight we have the Spitfire, which flies over my field and gives me a wing wave when he sees me out there. Even better, we have a Hurricane, which was the aircraft of my childhood, and when he comes over, I have to admit that he brings the greatest joy of all. And now we've come to the end, so I will say goodbye until next time. Thank you.
Goodbye from me, Sam, as well.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, welcome to In Touch. Today is all about me and some visually impaired people aren't too happy with me.
Well, a lot of you will recognise that that's the voice of Jaws, the top-of-the-range screen reader, which since 1995 has given blind and partially sighted technology users access to so much. Documents, financial information, books and newspapers, all your emails, indeed just about anything that can appear on a computer screen. You can make a good case that the screen reader has been the biggest advance in literacy for us visually impaired people since the invention of Braille 200 years ago. But top of the range, though Jaws may be, all this comes at a price. And an announcement over the past week or so about the way Jaws will soon be paid for has left many visually impaired people feeling that it's going to cost them too much. Well, in a moment, we'll be speaking to the owners of the company which developed Jaws and to Sight and Sound, its sole distributor in the UK and Ireland. But first, let's hear from those people who feel this is bad news or potentially bad news. Steve Hyde-Dryden runs Lakes Vision Services, a voluntary organisation offering services to visually impaired people in the Lake District. He is himself totally blind and has been using Jaws for the past 25 years. Steve, what is it about these plans which has upset you and the people you serve?
Well, basically, the pricing does seem to be very, very high. And from a number of people that I work with, they all share the same sort of view. And that is whether these prices and whether the new structure is going to not allow them to be able to continue and to go for further upgrades, etc. A lot of people that I work with are still basically on lower versions because they just can't afford the money. And I know a lot of the products that we buy are quite expensive, but this does seem to be extremely expensive, and I think it will outprice a lot of people.
It is as much about the way you might buy it as it is about price. And I think at one point you thought the subscription idea, which is going to happen here, as we understand it, was a good one. Why not now, or why not in this case?
Well, it's very interesting, actually, Peter, because I know when we talk about products available in the US and then products available in the UK, there is obviously the currency difference, etc., import taxes and things like that. I'm aware of that, but it just appears that the cost of subscriptions in the US is significantly lower than what these proposed subscription costs are going to be in the UK. Quite significantly different. And that does worry me. It also worries me the fact that I have actually been a very, very loyal user of Jaws since the early days, both at college and in work and in home. And I'm just afraid that in due course, if it continues like this, I'm not going to be able to afford to buy it myself.
But I think the idea with subscription is that you will be getting all the services that are available. You're paying top whack for top whack service. That's how it's being described, really.
Maybe, yeah. But, I mean, at the moment, I have an SMA that will take me up to the next 2 version upgrades or the next 2 years, whatever way it is now going to work.
We should explain an SMA is a software maintenance agreement, and that is the agreement that helps you with upgrades as they happen or changes. It's about support, isn't it?
It is. It is. But I don't quite understand what the difference is. If you have a version now with an SMA, how is that going to actually be different to the subscription? Because, yes, I know that the subscription will include any future updates, but it's only for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Where is the difference in that?
Let's find out exactly what is happening in the world of Jaws. Ryan Jones is Vice President for Software Product Management at Vispero, who are the parent company of Freedom Scientific, which is the company that produced Jaws, developed Jaws. He joins us from Florida. Ryan, welcome to the programme. Can you just explain in simple terms the changes you're making, both in method of buying and in terms of price?
Hi, Peter. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. So at the high levels, a couple of things are happening. Number one, we are starting to offer a subscription option to customers outside of the US. And this is for both the home editions of the software like JAWS, ZoomText, and Fusion, and the professional editions. And this is, in response to the market, which from a software perspective has been using subscriptions as the purchasing licensing mechanism for many years now. So most everyone has already moved to subscriptions if you look at Adobe, Microsoft, other software companies. So we're already a little bit late to the game. The other piece that's happening is, yes, there are price increases, both around new perpetual licenses with an SMA and then the SMAs that are currently out there. Both of those things are happening at the same time, and I can definitely understand that it causes some angst. Anytime we change something, it causes concern. But I do want to mention, as it stands right now in the UK, the perpetual license with SMA is still available. You are not forced to move to a subscription.
And what is a perpetual license? What does that mean?
Yeah, so good question. So the perpetual license is when you buy the software, you have the rights to use that software forever based on the version that you buy. So if I were to buy JAWS today, I would have the rights to use JAWS as I bought it today forever. On top of that, we have the SMA, which you mentioned earlier, the software maintenance agreement. And that is the mechanism in which you get future updates to the software. So every time we put out a new version, a new update, you have access to those updates, whether it's new features, whether it's bug fixes, keeping up with Windows, all the things that we put out. When you have an active SMA, you have access to all of those.
But with a perpetual license now is that you won't get those upgrades. Is that right?
With a perpetual license, as long as you have an SMA, you will get the updates, but you have to have an active SMA.
And are SMAs continuing? Because there has been a suggestion that these software maintenance agreements might stop.
As of right now, they are still available through Sight and Sound in the UK. So there's one change I want to highlight that's happening with SMAs. In the past, the SMA was based on a version number. So it was like for 2025, an SMA would give you the next two versions, which would be 2026 and 2027. What we are changing, though, to make it more understandable is that SMAs are based on a time period. So if you buy an SMA from Sight and Sound today, you get it for 2 years. So that's 2 years from the day you purchase. Any updates, any upgrades, anything that happens during that 24-month period, you have access to it. Certainly for people who have already invested in a perpetual license in the past, the SMA, you can still continue to keep that updated.
But the SMAs, the software maintenance agreements, they're going up by 20%.
Correct. The price for an SMA is increasing. So that's why I mentioned there's a couple of things going on. There's
quite
subscription
sharply.
offering.
Quite sharply.
Yeah, exactly. And we can talk about why our price increases if you'd like.
Yes, I would like. Is the idea that what you really want to do is get people onto the most up-to-date version of JAWS, and that is the way you see of doing it?
It's ever more important to keep people updated on a current version. If you think about how many updates happen to Windows and Office and browsers, those things are changing almost every week. And so as time goes on, if you're on an older version of JAWS, we can't continue to support those older versions with all of the things happening around us and the other software that JAWS has to interact with. So it is absolutely really important for people to stay updated. So with a subscription, with an active SMA, you have the ability to stay updated.
But you have put it up by 20%, so it's going to be 1/5 more expensive for people to do that.
Correct. Like I said, we have done price increases to help us as we're investing in AI, in other software tooling. The cost for us to build the software is increasing dramatically. The cost for us to use AI and to use secure AI, all of those things are increasing. And thus, we also have to increase the prices as well.
But it means that even if people don't really want that level of sophistication, they have to have it if they want to have their system maintained. I think what I'm getting at is, would it not be possible for someone to simply stay at a lower level in order to continue to be able to afford JAWS?
Yeah, if you don't purchase an SMA, you don't keep that up to date, then you can still use that older version. It will work, but we just don't know how long it will work. Like, we don't stop the license from working, for example, but as your browsers get updated, as Windows gets updated, your experience will start to lessen because there'll be things that JAWS doesn't know about that start to come into Windows or Chrome or whatever the case may be. The most important thing also is that for someone who is new to assistive technology, if you're buying JAWS for the first time, the cost to start using it is lower when you start with a subscription. It's lower than buying that upfront perpetual license cost. So it does lower the barrier to start using the software.
But is it going to be about £420 in the first year?
Yeah, I think there's some different pricing that Sight and Sound has based on if it's a 1 year, a 2 year, or a 3 year subscription that you sign up for. I think the longer the duration, the lower the cost is. But I know Sight and Sound can help get people the right options for them.
But as you can see, that 420, which, you know, if it's 3 years, what we're talking there, about 1,260, that is a large amount of money for quite a lot of people, even people who are working. But for people who aren't working, it's a bit of a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, again, that's why, based on your current circumstance, if you have that SMA, keep it updated. It's a lower cost to keep your SMA updated than it is to buy a new subscription. So that would be the more economic way to go. Whereas if you're newer, then you've not put in all of that initial money up front in that perpetual license. But I know Sight and Sound is really, really comfortable working with people to find the right option. I think that's the key, is there's not a blanket option that works for every single person.
Why did you opt for a yearly subscription model rather than a monthly one? I mean, that may have made spreading the cost on a monthly basis more affordable for some people.
Every market is somewhat different, and there's no reason to say that there won't be an option for a monthly payment plan down the road. That's certainly a possibility. But right now, for simplicity, we're using a yearly model, and we found good success with that in the US. It's a very predictable model, especially for companies as well. And in most cases, you're really not needing JAWS for a limited amount of time, right? If you need JAWS, you need JAWS. So the monthly would be more of a payment plan kind of scenario, because if I need it today, it's not that I'm not going to need it next month. So the yearly option is the smoothest right now, but you know that could always change down the road.
Isn't the danger for you that by making your products more expensive, you'll drive some people to other screen readers, especially those which are free?
I think always when you have price increases, there's always the need for us to communicate why we're providing value. And one thing that we are changing because of having to raise prices, because of moving to some new models, we are going to be more upfront in communicating about things that you're going to see in the future. So you know what to expect from us and what you'll be getting for the money that you're paying.
Now, Sight and Sound is the sole distributor of JAWS in the UK. Stuart Lawler is their business development manager. Stuart, first of all, what sort of response have you had since the new plans were announced?
We've had a lot of people asking questions. We've been trying to help people work through their options. What's interesting is, and I suppose to go back to Steve's point at the very start of the show, a lot of people who've been using JAWS for a very long time want to make sure that they can stay using JAWS. And we want to make sure where we can, amidst the new pricing structure that we're now working with, that we're able to support them to continue to do so.
What role has Sight and Sound played in fixing the new prices and the new structure?
Well, we've been, I suppose, negotiating with our colleagues in the US at Vispero for the last number of months. We don't know what will happen in the future in terms of pricing. The pricing is where it is today. It's where it's set. We want to try to work with people who are on various different JAWS licensing and various different JAWS versions, who may want to step up to the current one, or who may want to stay where they are at the current version. This is all still relatively new. We've had these pricing for about 2 weeks, I think, and we'll just see where it goes in the next little while.
But are you hearing from people who are really rather confused, or maybe as cross as Steve seems to be?
Absolutely. And people are very concerned. People are anxious. We've spent a lot of our time, and we will continue to do so, having conversations with our customers, because at Sight and Sound, it's for us, the customers and those long-standing customers who've used JAWS for a long time are really important.
Sight and Sound presumably doesn't do this for love, it's a commercial arrangement. There must be a markup to pay you for your services in distribution and customer support. Do you think some of your customers won't be able to afford these arrangements?
To answer the first part of your question, we have a dedicated technical support team here in the UK, a highly skilled group of colleagues who provide support on JAWS, Fusion. That sort of stuff has to be supported, I suppose, financially. As for whether there's people, there will be no doubt some people who are unable to keep maintained, I suppose, with the current version of JAWS or Fusion or ZoomText. But again, that's why we're keen to have conversations with people. And funny, we've been starting to talk to people about that even before the beginning of August. People were coming to us in Sight Village asking about subscriptions. So this is something that's been on people's minds, I think, for a little while.
If this is a done deal, what advice would you give your customers to get the best value for their money?
If you have a license already, if you're currently on a JAWS license, getting a software maintenance agreement is the best way. And if you're in particular, if you're on a current license of JAWS, if your license is not current and is maybe a couple of versions behind, then please get in touch with us and have a chat, because then we can work out where you are and how we can get you to the current license.
Is there a time scale on this?
Yes, the upgrades from previous licenses will run until the 31st of October. So there's, about 2 and a bit months for people to think about that. So we are keen that people would talk to us as soon as possible.
Many visually impaired people will use JAWS within their work and will have it funded through their employer maybe, or Access to Work. And we're hearing that people are worried that Access to Work might not be that keen to pay more over a longer period. In other words, in the past, maybe it would be a one-off payment. Now it will look on the books as if it's a payment this year and then a payment next year and so on and so forth.
Well, again, to go back to Ryan's point, the perpetual licenses are still available for Access to Work if people want, on both home and professional. Obviously, if people are working, they're looking at professional licenses. But subscriptions will also be available. And from the Access to Work perspective, we are talking to people already and getting the word out, especially to some of our corporate customers, about the subscription platform and some of the options that they can take if they wish.
I think, as I often find myself saying on this programme, I don't think that this is the last we will have heard of this, and we'll doubtless get reactions from people. But for the time being, Ryan Jones, Steve Hyde-Dryden, Stuart Lawler, thank you all very much indeed. And that's it for today. As always, we want your responses to anything you've heard. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave us a voice message on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.
Scaffolding and Skip News, WC, 22nd of August 2025.
Newport area, 128 Malthouse Court.
The Ryde area, White's Fish and Chip Shop, 41 to 42 High Street, 25 George Street, St Mary's Catholic Church, 55 High Street, 57 to 59 High Street, Bembridge, Fellowship House, 20 Green Street, Ex-Barclays Bank, 7 High Street, O2 Shop, Holyrood Street. Ryde area skips, 27 Daniel Street, 26 Quarry Road, Nelson Place.
Cowes area, Cameo of Cowes, 16 Bath Road, 93 and 94 High Street, the Portland Inn, Worsley Road, Gurnard. Cowes area skips, 17 Albert Street, 12 Albany Road, East Cowes.
The Sandown area, viewing platform, Venue Road, Slipway, Cafe Arona, 2 High Street, 4 High Street, the Old Comical, St John's Road.
Yarmouth area, Bank House.
Shanklin area. Nationwide. Regent Street. Shanklin Conservative Club. 6 Palmerston Road.